Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to the Ummahpreneur Podcast, where I interview Muslim entrepreneurs at the top of their game that are creating amazing businesses that are making an impact and changing the world. And today I have with me brother Hasam, who comes to us as the CEO of Rabt. I hope I pronounced that right, actually. You can
It,
correct me, Hasam, if I'm wrong.
it's Rabt.
Rabt. All right, beautiful. Rabt. It's like my Arabic accent coming out right now, putting a lot of emphasis on the V. And tell me, where does that name originate from exactly?
Sure. So Rabt is an Arabic word which means to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose of our company is about connecting Muslims with Islam and the true teachings and how the younger generation, which is very much disconnected. So this is
Mm-hmm.
a platform where they can connect.
Got it. Okay, awesome. And before we dive deeper into that and really just kind of dissecting it, because I know there's a lot more that goes into it, I want to know about you, Hassam. If we can get a quick intro for our audience who isn't familiar with yourself as an entrepreneur, can you give us just a quick high level view of who you are?
Sure. So for the past 10 years, I've been working with tech startups and some Fortune 500 companies like GoDaddy and Johnson and Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a computer science background. And since 2015, I've been like my first startup was in Hajj and Umrah, where
Mm-hmm.
we build a wearable product for the pilgrims that they can communicate with one another and they can navigate through the Hajj and Umrah journey. Because that was one of the key challenges for any foreign pilgrim that goes there. And because of the new places, they have to find the location, and also because of huge crowds, they get lost, and because of stampedes, some of them get injured. So this
Mm-hmm.
was the main focus, and we did well with the product launch, but unfortunately, we couldn't continue forward because of some lack of funds and other stuff. So then I was working with few companies and consulting and in the business space. And then the second startup was also focused on fintech platform, where we wanted to have a digital solution for people who want to book Islamic travel related packages, whether it be Al-Aqsa, whether it be Hajj and Umrah, or any Muslim travel destinations.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my second company, and this company which I'm working on is since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the UK. I was working with few of our partner companies there, and there I realized that there is a lot of gap in the Islamic content space,
Mm-hmm.
and the existing solutions are not catered towards the Gen Z and millennials. So that's how we started off, and now here we are.
Okay, got it. And yourself as a background as an entrepreneur, most people aren't really born entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are made is what I truly believe. What is your professional background? What was your initial trajectory in life before you decided to pivot and gravitate towards entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so being in the computer science, we have been working a lot on the technology related products. And what fascinated me was real world problems,
Mm-hmm.
problems that people are facing. And for me, it was more on the Muslim space, like where a lot of innovation is not going place. When you talk about big companies or even in Christianity, there are a lot of solutions and platforms for them. But
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about Islam or Muslims, there are very less platforms and solutions available. So I thought about like the market is great, and why not something that comes within this community rather than coming from outside the community. So that's where I thought about working on such
Mm-hmm.
solutions which are not only helpful for Muslims but also disruptive in a way that can uh, be disrupt and that can be more scalable. Like millions of Muslims can benefit from it.
Okay, got it, definitely. And so it sounds like it stemmed from yourself from a passion to try to create something that you felt would make a difference. And did you always see yourself as an entrepreneur growing up? Did you always feel like you were the type who wanted to create their own thing versus just working and kind of within your company and within your organization and sticking to that?
Yeah, so like just to give you a brief background, in 2014, when Apple Watch and Google Glass was coming out, so that was the time I started my first company, and the wearable technology was at a high point, and that's how I got that idea of having a wearable product for Hajj and Umrah. So it's all about having a product focused mentality where we can create products and solutions that are more disruptive and more impactful.
Hmm. Got it. 100%. So for you specifically, are there any other entrepreneurs in your family, or is it just you right now at the moment? Do you know of any other entrepreneurs, or are you the first?
I am, you can say, the second.
Okay.
Yeah, like my father was in the Emirates airline,
Hmm.
and my mother was an entrepreneur for a lot of time. Uh, so I got the inspiration from there as well. And it's all about, like, for me, it was a passion to work on my own thing rather than working on something for someone else that is less impactful and something that I cannot own at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Got it. And with Rabt, tell me about it. What is it exactly? You mentioned it's a place for Muslims to connect with each other, to share content, and that the space was lacking. So, what is the problem that you saw in the market, and how are you fixing that problem right now?
Sure. So, as Muslims, when we go out and we search for content, it's mostly on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. And there you have to search through different like accounts, profiles, and channels, and then you can find the best Islamic content. So
Hmm.
for us as Muslims, we are definitely looking for something better, which is more curated and more focused on the user experience side. So
Hmm.
that's how I thought about this idea where we can focus on a platform which is dedicated for the Islamic content, and people can experience high quality content which is curated, and it's focused on storytelling.
Got it. What makes your platform different than, as you mentioned, going and browsing on YouTube, or researching for lectures yourself? Why is it that people should download Rabbit instead of just continuing to browse on YouTube like they're used to, right?
Sure. So when you browse on YouTube, like mostly for the new generation, Gen Z and millennials, I think there is a lot of unauthentic content which is focused on like hate speech and
Mm-hmm.
controversy. So YouTube doesn't filter out that content for you. It just gives you based on your keyword search. And what we feel is that in this modern age where you just have to click through a few searches and you find the content and you consume it, and based on that consumption of that content, you build a narrative around that hey, I watched that video and they said this, so that's what I think is right. And in reality, we don't do our own research, like what that person said, is it right or wrong. So people are more tend to consuming content quickly and just getting the knowledge wherever they can find. On Rabt, it's basically all authentic content, content which is focused on the peaceful side of Islam, and nothing hate speech or no controversial content out there. And we are bringing in some of the most influential voices in the Islamic world, which are building authenticity and also helping us to shape this platform in a way which is more beneficial for Muslims.
Mm-hmm. And where does the name Rabt come from?
Rabt comes from like the Arabic word of connecting. So it's for us, it's about connecting Muslims with the soul of Islam, which is the true teachings of Prophet Muhammad
Sallallahu
Sallallahu
Alaihi
Alaihi Wasallam,
Wasallam.
and
Mhm.
the Holy Book of Quran.
Got it. Love it. It's beautiful. And you had this idea and you wanted to actualize it. And I know you mentioned you have a computer science background yourself. Now, was it you who actually went on to code and develop the entire thing? And has it just been you this whole time? Or did you then, once you came up with the idea, go and look for a co-founder, build the team? What was the process like, or the steps that you've taken essentially to go from the idea to launching the platform?
Sure. So I have known like my co-founder since 3 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and he was based in Bahrain. And since then, we like planned about this platform for the Islamic content. And he has experience in marketing and sales, and working with some of the prominent companies in the region. So he had that marketing and sales experience. I had the product experience. So we combined on working together to get started with just first identifying what are the gaps. And then I worked on the product and how that product can be beneficial for the end user. And
Mm-hmm.
since then, we have been doing the user experience design and then developing the MVP. So now we have a team of developers as well as designers who are working on the product. And
Mm-hmm.
Alhamdulillah, the product is live now.
Alhamdulillah, that's awesome. That's good to hear. And it's available on both Apple and Google, so Android and iPhone essentially.
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. And, I know that what you just stated is like a 1,000-foot view of the journey. But for someone listening to this, because our podcast caters to other other Muslim entrepreneurs who might be listening to this and they're like, okay, cool, I found a co-founder, but like now I need to build a team. Like, how do I get the money? What does it look like? Should I give them equity? Should I do this? Should I do that? So for you, how did you go about it? Did you then, with your co-founder, go and look for investors to finance your team? Did you give them a share and make them equity partners? What did it look like for you to be able to build this in the early stages before you even launched, right?
Sure. So as I had two startups experience before this, having worked in the UK and in the Middle East, so that gave me a lot of experience in terms of to identify the gaps, like which co-founder should I add in the team and what
Mm-hmm.
value they bring in. And I had the experience of fundraising, having worked with and raised funds for my previous companies. So I
Mm-hmm.
knew my strong areas, and based on that, I brought in the team and the people that can help me to achieve those goals. So it's all about like you need to understand your business, where it is at that point and where do you want to go. And once you identify that, then you can bring in people that can help you achieve those targets. And in terms of the fundraising, like after my co-founder joined, we raised the initial pre-seed investment last year. That
Mm-hmm.
was in March, April. So
Mm-hmm.
since then, we have developed the product, launched it into the market, and Alhamdulillah, we have over 30,000 users now.
Alhamdulillah, that's really, really good to hear. I love that. And in terms of the fundraising parts, because that's a question that we often get a lot from people. Oh, I'm looking for investment. I need it to be halal. It can't be interest, right? We have a lot of Muslim entrepreneurs out there. For you guys, how did you go about it? Did you build a pitch deck and then reach out specifically to investors that you trusted or you wanted on the board? Or, I mean, what was the process like for you?
So surprisingly, like being a company which is focused on Muslims, we
Mm-hmm.
were expecting Muslim investors that they'll be showing more interest in our company,
Mm-hmm.
but it worked the other way, where an accelerator program which is based out of US, they
Mm-hmm.
invested in our company and they showed a lot of hope, and they supported our company in terms of building this platform, which they know that it has an impact for
Mm-hmm.
1.9 billion Muslims. So
Mm-hmm.
fundraising has been a lot difficult recently in this time, where you see a lot of the markets going down, and investors are not keen to invest quickly. Like they need a lot of time, plus they need to see a lot of metrics in the company if they are achieving those. So overall, like interacting with a lot of investors from different regions, like Malaysia, Indonesia, and in terms of Middle East, US, what we have seen is that investors in Malaysia, Indonesia, or in the US region are
Mm-hmm.
more interested to invest in this company rather than investors who are based in the Middle East. So
Mm-hmm.
overall, that is, you can say, the landscape.
Got it. Thank you very much for sharing those insights. And the biggest challenge with most platforms is getting users on the platform once they launch, right? Spreading the word, getting people to find out about what it is that you're doing and signing up and using it. And for you, what was it like, or what strategy did you use to market the platform and attract your initial users?
Sure. So for us, we knew that if we get some percentage of our target market, which is Gen Z and millennials, that would have a huge impact. And the people that we onboarded in terms of content creators who have great followings in the young generation in Muslims, we knew that they'll be a catalyst in terms of our growth. And they did prove out to be a catalyst. When we onboarded them, we did some featured posts for them. And when people got to know, it was just like spreading the word through word of mouth. And also, like, we spent like less than $2,000 in marketing for all the users that we have acquired. So it's all about how you utilize your current resources or what you have as a company. And since then, we have been receiving a lot of interest from other content creators who came to know from other friends and family, and they would like to offer their content, which is on different platforms on Rabt.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
that's how.
you focused your approach on the content creator specifically, and essentially promoted them, and then that was able to, through that you were able to essentially attract the audience by promoting the content that you were putting out on the platform, if I understand
Correct,
correctly.
correct. And
Okay.
also, the other key thing was partnering with the Islamic organizations and institutes that are working in the Islamic education. So we did onboard institutions from US, from UK, from Pakistan, and now we are focused on onboarding organizations that are based in Malaysia and Indonesia, because for them there's a different language there, and we want the content to be localized there in their language so that they can also understand it.
Got it. And right now, is this platform monetized or not at the moment?
So right now, the platform is not monetized till today, but as we move on, we are planning to add some like key things which will help us not only gain more user insights, like which user listens to more content for one specific content creator, but also we are planning to generate some revenue. That is one of the factors which is limiting us in terms of growing into the next phase. And also a key requirement by the investors that they need to show some, they need to see some revenue in the company so that they can invest. So yeah.
Definitely, and I know for platforms, especially Islamic platforms, like privacy, security, that's a big thing. And even with monetization, it's a lot more difficult than saying, well, okay, let's just like throw a few Google ads on there, right? And so, I mean, for you, do you have any ideas of what you plan to do? Are you going to go towards the direction of memberships? Are you gonna include advertisements, or is it something you're still considering and you haven't made a decision?
Yeah, so we have been considering a lot of these options. The issue where which comes for other platforms like YouTube, they show inappropriate ads for Muslim audience, and like when once you are utilizing or you are consuming Islamic content and you come across something which is non-Islamic, so your whole user experience get distracted. So that's what we are trying to achieve in Dropped, where you get the best experience there when you're exploring, searching, and experiencing Islamic content. And in terms of the monetization, it will be in a way which helps the user to have a gamification kind of experience where they consume the content, and at the same time they get some perks like for example, we are planning to have something which is about, if you listen to like 50 to 100 hours per month, you unlock some perk or some like a gift which can be sent over to you. And one of the giveaway which we are thinking about is sending people for Umrah or Hajj. So there's things that are connected, and people that can not only consume Islamic content, but they can also get closer to the religion.
That's beautiful, mashallah. I love that you're thinking through what possible initiatives and really tying it also back to the deen and what you could potentially do. Now, one of the questions that I do have for you in regards to your experience throughout this entire process is what advice you would give to someone who is listening to this who has an idea for a business, for an app that they want to bring to life, what advice would you give them if they're in the early stages, they're about to embark on this journey? What for you has been the biggest lessons that, if you could give these lessons to yourself 2-3 years ago, would have made the whole journey a lot easier?
Sure. I think it's all about learning from your mistakes, your failures, and you never you succeed at the first try that you do. It's always something that you learn from and you improve on that. So that's what I've experienced, that this space is a bit challenging because when you're pitching a Muslim product to a non-Muslim investor, so that makes things more challenging, where you have to make them understand that what the impact should be on the Muslims and on Islam. And at the same time, when you're pitching to Muslim investors, there are not many investors that are focused in Sharia compliant businesses or businesses that can have impact on the Muslim audience. So these are a few challenges, but you can mitigate those risks and challenges by being more closer to the industry. I am connected with founders, Muslim founders in US, in Indonesia, in the Middle East. So I get insights and feedback from all of them, and that helps me to learn and make me improve on my own business.
Yeah, and it's definitely a learning journey, right? There's always more to learn, always more to experience, and as you mentioned, entrepreneurship really boils down to being a reiteration of trial and error, just constant trial and error, and trying things and quote unquote failing, and then trying something else and seeing what works. So thank you very much for sharing that. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to fail through the journey, you're not going to get very far, right? Because no matter what, you will fail. Like, that is inevitable in entrepreneurship.
That's true.
100%. But then the key is, are you going to let that stop you, or are you just going to understand what went wrong and then make the adjustments necessary to move forward, right?
That's true.
100%, brother. And so for you, I want to ask you, where do you see it up going in the future, and where do you see yourself moving forward in the future as well? What can we expect from you guys moving forward?
Sure. So right now, our focus is towards growing in the market, few channels and few markets that we have identified, Indonesia, UK, US, Pakistan, India. These markets have a lot of Muslims, and initially our focus is towards these markets. And we are onboarding content creators, scholars, nasheed artists from these markets. And moving forward, our aim is towards having a personalized learning platform for Muslims, where they can have learning from Quran, Sunnah, and all of those important key aspects of Islam, which are necessary for a Muslim to know in their life, and that can make you a better Muslim and a better human. Just to give you a simple example, like Apple Siri or Google Assistant, when you send any voice command that what you're looking for, they give you personalized recommendations. And that's what we are trying to achieve inshallah in the next 3 to 5 years, bringing in this platform where even a very young Muslim child, within 7 or 8 years of age, they go on the platform, they ask what they are trying to search, and they get answers, personalized search, recommendation, content, and all of that can help them to not only consume it, but also learn from different things. So, yeah.
Got it. Well, Jazakallah khair for sharing that with me, and for just sharing with me an overview of the story of Rabt and how you guys got to where you are today. I'm looking forward to seeing what you end up building in the future. And really just thank you for taking the time to join me on this podcast. Jazakallah khair, brother Hasam.
Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair for your time.
Of course, Wayakum, it's a pleasure. And you guys know the drill, all right? If you guys enjoyed this episode, then make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. And also, we'll drop you a little link to a bonus free training in the episode notes, as well as the link to download the Rabt app so you can check it out for yourself. So go in the episode notes and look at that, and we'll see you in the next episode, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.